Hello tankers and tankettes, today is 9.7 patch day, at least on the EU server, and I've played a couple of battles in the new low tiers. I've bought all of them, including this one, the tier 5, the G1 R, and I decided I was going to do a video on the G1 R because it was probably the one I personally was most interested in. I realise most people are thinking more of the new tier 9 and the tier 10 that came in, the 30B and the prototype that comes before it. But honestly, I'm just a sucker for low tier French apparently, and having played the tier 2s, they're alright, they're not that different from the H35. The S35, again, it's okay, it's not that different from the D2. The SARL I haven't actually played yet, the Crested Duck, I'm saving that one. And then there's this, the G1 R, which I just free XP'd through to this. The tier 3 I unlocked just by playing, because you can basically get that with like one good daily will get you enough XP to go from tier 2 to tier 3 with a premium account. But the free XP, I don't know, I had enough and I thought, why not, I'm going to do it. So this is the first tier 5 medium tank. Up till now there hasn't been a lot of mediums on the French line. We've had the D2 at tier 3, and then we had the Lorraine 40T and of course the Batchat. Now there's a whole bunch of new ones, starting with the S35 at tier 3, then the SARL, then this one, and then of course the tier 9 and the 10. And this is the one, like I've said, that I was most interested in. But honestly, I'm actually a bit disappointed. It's just, it's not particularly, like, it doesn't do anything that other mediums don't already do and better. It isn't particularly anything. Now that was a pretty bad shot. Although I was a bit unlucky with the passing shot that somehow derped past his turret. Like that must have been the previous shot to that. That must have been a very close miss indeed. But anyway, he's about to die. So the gun, we'll start with that. It is a 75mm gun with 100mm of average penetration and 110 damage, so it's not that dissimilar than the mid-tier German guns with 110 pen and 110 damage. And when you're top tier like this, that's pretty decent. Now it does have one very good thing going for it in that it has 2 seconds of aim time, and that's pretty nice. That's definitely above average for tier 5 medium tanks. The rest of it, it's not really great. I mean, the bloom is a bit on the rough side when you are actually moving your tank around. In terms of just traversing the turret, it's not so bad. So if you can sit still and only move your turret, that's fine. But when you're actually moving the tank around, it's not so great, and that means firing on the move isn't going to be so great either. Accuracy wise, it's okay, 0.39, that's pretty decent. The reload is okay. It's actually got an above average DPM. It's something like 1700 DPM. So again, that's not bad. But the APCR is pretty substandard. The average pen of the AP is 100. The average pen of the APCR is 129. So that's 1 better millimeter of penetration than the regular ammo on the 57mm guns that the Russians and the Chinese get, and the 76mm guns that the Americans and the British can get. So it's a bit lackluster, and you compare it to the 6-pounders, which have got, what, 180 average pen? Because a couple of the tanks can fit 6-pounders as well at tier 5. Yeah, so that part's disappointing. The gun depression is -8. It's okay. It's not really anything to get excited about. I'm just trying to think what else to say about it. The HE ammo is fairly standard. All in all, it's an okay gun. If you wanted to take something away from this tank, like what is it good at, you can't really say the gun, because the gun's nothing special. Now, it does actually get another gun that you can use. A derp gun, and it's the first turreted French tank to get a derp gun. The Samua Sao 40 gets a 105mm derp, and I think it's probably the same one. I haven't actually double checked that, but it's a 105mm derp gun, and that's the only other French 105mm derp that's in the game already, so that would be my guess. But that is worse in basically every way compared to the other tier 5 derps. And there's one stat where it's better, and in the rest it's all worse. So it's I think a 2.6 aim time, which sounds okay, but the German, Russian, and now British 105mm derps at tier 5 all have, I think, 2.4. Actually, I'm not sure about the Sherman 3. The aim time is worse. The reload is worse than all of them. The DPM's worse. The accuracy is worse. But the one thing that is better is the shell velocity. It gets actually about an extra, I think, 200 meters per second in terms of shell velocity, which is really noticeable. So that's the one thing that sets that derp gun apart from the other 105mm. It's worse in every way apart from the HE shell velocity. It doesn't get AP, it only gets HE. So honestly, I wouldn't use this thing for a derp gun. Like, it's a bit novel that it does get a derp gun, but it's not really a particularly good derp gun apart from the shell velocity. So you're stuck with the 75mm, which is an average gun. So is there something else about this that makes it not just an average tank? Not really. I mean, the DPM is okay, as I've said, but in terms of the mobility, it is very average indeed. It tops out at 40 kilometers an hour, which you'll probably only get on either flat, hard ground or going down a slight incline. Most of the time driving along kind of medium to soft ground, I was getting 35. The horsepower per ton ratio is pretty bad, actually. It's 13. I think the only mediums that are worse at tier 5, and this is something I did check, are the two premium Matildas, which have both a worse top speed and a worse horsepower per ton ratio. So it doesn't really move around particularly well either. And the Panzer IV also has a top speed of 40, but that has a much better power to weight ratio in the region of, I think, 17. So it feels pretty lackluster in that regard as well. So honestly, although this was the one I was excited about, although this is the one I really wanted to like the most of the new ones, I'm not really feeling it, to be honest. It's just mediocre. There's nothing special about this apart from the fact it's a tier 5 French medium, and we've just not had one of those before. The firepower is average, the mobility is average to below average. I don't really know what there is to commend this, to be honest. I mean, if you were going to play up, I mean, this goes into the ARL 44, and while going from the H35 to the G1 R might maybe be more of an enjoyable experience overall to get to the ARL, I don't think there's really any reason to keep the G1R once you've got the ARL. And it does also mean skipping out the BDR G1B, which I think is actually a pretty nice tier 5. So if you wanted to try that, you've got to go through the D1 and the D2 and the B1 anyway. So if you wanted maybe a more consistent experience for getting to the ARL, maybe that would commend this to you, I don't know. But otherwise, I don't think there's much point grabbing this when you can get a Sherman or a Panzer IV, or if you wanted something a bit slower with a more reliable gun like the Chernu, for instance. I mean, I would actually say the Chernu is better than this, and the Chernu's not that massively well regarded as a tier 5 medium. So yeah, it's just not particularly great. It is thoroughly mediocre, and that makes me a little bit sad. Of course, this is all on the basis of having played a half dozen battles in it today. This is all my initial impressions. I will play it some more. Maybe I'll think better of it with time. I don't know, but honestly, I can't see getting any more enthusiastic about it as time goes along. However, it has made me more interested to now sit down and try the Crested Duck, the tier 4, because that gets the same gun at tier 4. And for a tier 4, that's a, it's an average gun at tier 5, in fact a slightly below average gun at tier 5, but at tier 4 that's actually not a bad gun for a medium tank at all. So we'll see how that does, although it is a slower machine. But yeah, maybe that will be coming to you in the near future as well. So if you liked this video, you can hit the like button, you can leave any comments below, you can subscribe to my channel, and as always, stay tuned for more.